For months, the internet buzzed with whispers, stolen glances, and subtle clues, tiny sparks that flickered through every interview, backstage moment, and red carpet appearance. But on a quiet Monday morning, when the sky glowed like it was in on a secret, Soo Kai and Tan Songyun stepped into the spotlight hand in hand, confirming what fans had hoped, wished, and dreamed for years. In an instant, the world of C-drama lovers tilted, shimmered, and exploded into celebration. Their announcement wasn't ordinary. It wasn't simple. And it definitely wasn't subtle. It was cinematic, dramatic, breathtaking. Exactly the kind of reveal that felt lifted straight out of a romance drama, except this time it was real. A video appeared online without warning, no caption, no hints, just a soft instrumental melody playing over a doorway bathed in warm, yellow light. Then Soo Kai walked into frame, tall, calm, wearing a soft cream sweater that made his smile even more heart-melting. He stepped aside, looked behind him, and the camera lightly tilted like destiny itself was nudging it forward. Then she appeared.
songyun.
Sweet, soft, glowing like gentle spring light. She didn't say a word. He didn't either. But their fingers found each other without hesitation, like magnets that had been circling the same orbit for years, finally closing the distance. And then, as the screen faded into white, a single line appeared. Finally together. 2 words. But they were enough to send entire fandoms into a global frenzy of screaming, crying, dancing, and replaying the clip 1,000 times. To longtime fans, this was more than a relationship announcement. It was the final puzzle piece to a story they had been following from afar, one that rhymed perfectly with every rumor, every spark, every soft moment they had captured through years of careful observation. Their chemistry had always felt too natural, too effortless, too delicate to be just acting. Whether it was the way Soo Kai's eyes softened whenever she laughed, or the warm gentleness that filled Songyun's voice whenever she spoke about him, their energy flowed like a story that had been writing itself long before this reveal. Now, in hindsight, every past moment replayed like a secret finally explained. The time he shielded her eyes from bright lights, the interview where she let special slip, the premiere night where their eyes met then raced away too fast, too shy, too sweet. Everything matched. Everything connected. Everything rhymed. As the world absorbed the news, crowds gathered in multiple cities. LED screens in malls, cafes, and entertainment hubs played the announcement on loop. Fans wore creamy gold outfits, the exact tones they saw in the video, turning the day into a moving festival of celebration. Trending hashtags erupted like fireworks. Hashtag #SooKaiSongyun finally. Hashtag the love we waited for. Hashtag real life drama. Hashtag finally together. People paused mid-commute, mid-lecture, mid-meal to watch the clip again. Celebrities joined the excitement too, co-stars, directors, stylists, posting congratulatory messages and subtle hints that they had known the truth long before everyone else. Then more photos surfaced. A fan who had spotted them weeks earlier had unknowingly captured a secret date, one that made perfect sense now. Soo Kai and Songyun sat at a rooftop cafe, sharing a warm pastry under soft fairy lights. She leaned close to hear him whisper something. He leaned closer to make her laugh again. Their scarves matched. Their hands occasionally brushed. Their shadows merged on the floor like 2 souls rehearsing for the moment the world would finally know. Back then, fans assumed they were just 2 friends grabbing a casual meal. Now, those photos felt like a prequel scene to a romance movie, the quiet seedling of a love ready to bloom publicly. Hours after the announcement, they surprised fans with a live stream. Soo Kai's smile was relaxed in a way fans had never seen, like he had finally exhaled after months of holding in a beautiful secret. "We didn't want to hide it anymore," he said, voice warm. "Love should be celebrated, not locked away." Songyun nodded, her expression soft and glowing. "We've been happy for a long time," she added shyly. "Now we want you all to share in that happiness with us." But the moment that shattered the internet was when Soo Kai looked at her with a tenderness that felt almost cinematic and said, "She makes everything rhyme. Every day feels like a scene, I don't want to end. Fans screamed. Some fainted. Some threw pillows. Some immediately edited the clip into slow-motion edits with emotional background music. It was the line of the year. Suddenly, every old clip of them gained new magic. Fans replayed award shows where he casually placed his jacket around her shoulders during a sudden temperature drop. They rewatched drama behind the scenes where she fixed his tie with a soft little frown of concentration. They rediscovered airport videos where they arrived separately, but somehow left walking in perfect rhythm, their steps unconsciously matching like a dance they had practiced without knowing. Every detail became proof, sweet, solid, undeniable proof, that this love had been blooming quietly behind the bright noise of fame. As the world celebrated, fan art flooded social media. Luxurious illustrations of them in romantic Hanfu outfits, modern sketches of them hand in hand under city lights, digital paintings of the announcement scene with glowing golden accents. Couples recreated the pose. Restaurants released themed desserts. Online stores launched finally together merchandise. Drama channels hosted spontaneous marathons of their series. Their fandoms united into one massive global family of joy. For once, the internet was peaceful, united, and blissfully happy. Late that night, after hours of chaos and celebration, Soo-kai and Songyun shared one final photo. They stood at sunset, wrapped in orange gold light. His arm rested around her waist, steady and natural. Her head leaned on his shoulder, soft and content. Their eyes glowed with the peace of two people finally stepping into truth together. And the caption was only 3 words: "Thank you for waiting." It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it held the weight of every quiet rumor, every soft glance, every spark that fans had sensed but could never confirm. It wrapped up the weeks, months, and years of anticipation with a warmth that felt like the final line of a love poem. Their announcement wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning. The opening scene of a real-life romance with no scripts, no retakes, no directors. Just 2 hearts beating in harmony after years of subtle rhythm. Their love had finally stepped into the light. And the world, breathless and enchanted, stepped into it with them. Fans had barely recovered from the announcement when Soo-kai and Songyun dropped another surprise, a quiet, intimate glimpse into the world behind their new, open love. It came through a single photo posted late in the evening, but the story behind it, oh, that story was richer than any drama they had ever filmed. It began the night after their reveal. The city was still buzzing, the internet still breaking itself into confetti, but the couple escaped to a small, secluded place tucked above the skyline. The air was cool, the moon soft, the lights below glowing like scattered stars waiting for them to make a wish. Soo-kai arrived first, carrying 2 cups of warm jasmine tea. Songyun arrived minutes later, wrapped in a soft coat, her hair falling freely down her shoulders like it had been waiting for the wind to romance it. The moment he saw her, the world seemed to slow down. He walked toward her, and she looked up with that gentle smile he had fallen for long before either of them dared admit it. When she reached him, she touched his hand, not out of shyness, not out of habit, but because now she could. Now the world knew. Now their hearts didn't need a curtain. She whispered, "We survived today." He laughed softly, brushing a stray hair from her face. "And we'll survive every day after this." His fingers lingered on her cheek, warm and steady, as if memorizing the moment. The night carried their breath in tiny clouds of softness. Around them, the city hummed like background music. They sat together on a low balcony bench, leaning into each other without needing to ask. Songyun rested her head on his shoulder, and he tilted his cheek against her hair. The warmth between them didn't need words. It was the kind of warmth that came from long-kept secrets finally getting to breathe. "You know," she murmured, her voice barely above the wind, "I used to imagine moments like this." He smiled, tracing small circles on the back of her hand with his thumb. "Me too. Except in my imagination. You confessed first." She nudged him, laughing softly, but her cheeks warmed in a way that told him she remembered the early days, The shy glances, the quiet sparks, the unsent messages, the nights when both of them lay awake wondering if the other felt the same. Love had been growing long before it was spoken. Now it flowed freely. Su Kai turned her face gently toward him. I've waited so long to hold you like this without hiding. And I've waited to look at you like this without pretending, she whispered. Her eyes glowed with sincerity, with softness, with the kind of affection that didn't need dramatic words to make itself known. And so, he kissed her forehead, a tender, slow kiss filled with all the unspoken promises he had kept locked in his heart for too long. She closed her eyes, leaning closer, letting his warmth settle into her like a gentle fire. They talked for hours. About the first time he knew he liked her. When she laughed so hard on set, she snorted slightly and tried to deny it. About the first time she knew she liked him, when he gave her his coat, even though he was freezing more than she was. They spoke about fears, about hopes, about the weight of going public and the lightness of finally being honest. At one point, she got up and walked toward the balcony edge, letting the cold breeze lift her hair. Su Kai followed behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind, pulling her against him. She melted into his embrace naturally, like two puzzle pieces that had finally clicked. He breathed against her ear, low and soft. You're my calm. You're my chaos. You're everything between. She reached up, intertwining her fingers with his. And you're my safe place. Below them, the city glittered as though celebrating their quiet confessions. Later, when she grew cold, he wrapped his scarf around her neck, tucking the ends with gentle fingers. She looked up at him, eyes shining with an affection so tender it could soften even the hardest night. What would you do without me? She teased. Freeze, he replied, without hesitation. She laughed again, the sound bright and full, and he kissed the corner of her smile. It wasn't a dramatic kiss. It wasn't meant to be. It was the kind that happens when two hearts are finally comfortable enough to be soft. As the night grew deeper, they leaned against each other under a shared blanket, watching the silent glitter of the city. His arms stayed around her. Her hand rested on his chest, feeling the rhythm of his heartbeat, steady, sincere, no longer racing from secrecy. When they finally took the photo they posted later, it wasn't posed. It was a moment of truth, her head tucked against him, his forehead resting against her hair, both wearing small smiles meant only for each other. A glimpse of a love that had always been real, now finally allowed to be seen. And as the world continued celebrating them, they sat wrapped in warmth and whispered promises that the world would never fully hear, but would forever feel.